Yo, what is going on, guys? One more streaming, guys, a brand new Busch Gardens video, and in this video we're going to be talking about Ireland. Last week I made a video talking about Battle for Ire and the downfall and kind of the mysterious disappearance of it, but after that video came out, I loved the comment section about you guys speculating what could they do with the building and what could they do with Ireland in general, because the land needs a lot of work, and it's always been speculative about what could they do with it. So I wanted to give my take on what possibly the future of Ireland could be, and I want to hear your thoughts after this video. But before we get into today's video, recently I launched a Patreon, an exclusive service where you get exclusive content from me, like vlogs, behind the scenes content, brand new videos, music, podcasts, anything you can imagine is probably there. I'll upload every single day, Monday through Friday, and also depending on which membership you join, you could be entered into a giveaway for this autographed Busch Gardens mat from the 40th anniversary, which also includes my note card from the Coastal Ranking video I did a couple weeks ago. So, if you subscribe, look at the memberships, and you could be in a giveaway for this. You can also, on the Patreon, remember my St. Patrick's Day vlog a few weeks ago? There's actually an extended version of that vlog on the Patreon with several minutes of new unseen footage. Pretty embarrassing footage, I must say. For memberships as low as $5 a month, you can see that video with all the other content on the Patreon. So it helps keep the train going, helps support me as a creator as I'm doing this full time and devoting all my time into this. But now let's get back into the video. So Ireland at Busch Gardens. It is a small land. A lot of people walk through the land. And why is that? The YouTuber that I watch a lot on YouTube that talks about the Disney parks and actually inspired me to make these Busch Gardens videos, his name is Offhand Disney. And he made this video talking about kinetic energy in the Disney parks. And I watched that entire video and I was like, he is absolutely right. One thing that helps parks feel more alive and vibrant is energy and the movement of the parks. Busch Gardens has a lot of great kinetic energy in a lot of places in the park. When you're in France, you have Griffin and Alpengeist around you. When you're in Germany, you got Alpengeist and you got Loch Ness Monster going up around. You got the Fest House, people constantly coming in and out. And you got the Wirbelwind, you got Verbolten. And when you're in Italy, you got Pantheon, you got Battering Ram, you got Apollo's Chariot, Tempesto. You got all these rides where there's movement happening all around you, which keeps the energy alive. Ireland kind of lacks that. Now they have Finnegan's Flyer, but Finnegan's Flyer is kind of on the outside and it's right when you walk in. So if you're not right there, as you're going through Ireland into the Wild Reserve, it kind of feels kind of stale. Now the Wild Reserve gets a pass because that's an animal sanctuary. It's supposed to be calm, peaceful. But when you're in Ireland, you would like to see a little bit more energy. And then one nice thing that Battle for Ire or anything in that building gives is kinetic energy enough for people walking in and out of the building, because that in itself is kinetic energy. Ireland has a lot of places you go into because you got Celtic Fire, you got the Castle O'Sullivan, you got Grogan's Pub, you got Annie's Cafe, and then you had the little seating area, and you had the 4D simulator building with the shops on the left side as well. But it's for like specific groups of people. Like if you're not older than 21, you don't really have any reason to go to Grogan's Pub. If you're not like a kid or someone that's into magic, you have no real reason to go in Pot of Gold and the store that sells a lot of the Grogan's Pub merch and the Guinness merch. So what could they do to enhance the experience of it? I have a couple ideas. So one thing's first, you got Finnegan's Flyer. So that was the biggest thing they could have done because they needed something to give motion to the land. So you gave them a ride. And one thing that really helps with Busch Gardens kinetic energy is the Rhine River. You had the train, but you also had the river that flows through the park. You got water flowing. As you go to Escape from Pompeii, you got the water flowing down. When you got the log flume, you got the water flowing. Water flowing is actually one of the best uses of kinetic energy. But the crutch about Ireland is that it's pretty small. It's in this nice little bubble of the park, because you got England on one side and France on the other side. Well, you can't go towards France because Griffin's right there. Like you go left, there's Griffin in the train. You go right, you got England. And a lot of people have mentioned maybe a coaster could come to Ireland. And this is where I'll combat that. Why I love a new coaster. There's a whole lot of space. Actually, there is a lot of space. When you walk in from the England parking lot, you see this big open forest area where you could definitely put a coaster, and that gives you a great level of energy coming into the park. My theory is that Busch Gardens doesn't want that because they want you to kind of have this peace and serenity of the entrance of the park, really taking in the nature. The flowers, England, and just that being very calm. England's a very calm part of the park. It's like a little introduction before you get to the craziness. You really don't see any of the other rides. You don't really hear any of the other rides. Now, that's just my theory. But let's say that's not my theory, and it's just total happenstance that there's no ride there. You have a bunch of room for flat rides, another coaster. Honestly, I'm a coaster guru. You guys know I love coasters. We're about to get our 10th coaster at the park over behind Fest House, which there's some little interesting stuff that came out about that. I won't go into a whole spiel about it. Might be taller than we thought. That's all I'll say regarding that. I would actually like a water ride. I would love a 4th water ride. There's already like a little river down there, right? With the fountain that's absolutely beautiful. And you got Escape from Pompeii here. You got the log flume up there. You got Roman Rapids over here. So you would almost have 4 corners of the park in water rides if you put one in Ireland. And I think you just have such a beautiful setting, because if you are to put a ride at the entrance of the park, but still keep that peaceful serenity feeling of walking into the park that I believe Busch Gardens wants to keep, a water ride is the perfect thing to add. It's not too intense. It's not going to scare the little kids away. It's just like this calming thing of water rushing down, because like I said, water is the best use of kinetic energy. Better than the rides, better than the people moving in and out of buildings. You have a water ride, that is just beautiful, because it's also the sound. Water is not just visual, it's audible. So I believe a perfect addition would be a water ride. Now, would that be in place of where the 4D building is? No. But like I said, Ireland is in such a tiny quarter. Well, you had that seating area right there. When you first walk into Ireland, if you're coming in from the entrance of the park, you got Finnegan's Fire to your left and a little seating area. You could put a little entrance right there where the seating area is. Keep the seating area and build a little entrance into a nice little water ride, because whatever you add to Ireland, you cannot make something intense. I believe that. You cannot make something intense. It's just not what Ireland is. It's not the feeling of Ireland. Like France, you're going to have Griffin, this fierce coaster. Italy, you got Pantheon, Apollo Chariot, Intensity. Germany, Dark Coaster, Revolting. Ireland, to me, seems like this very calm part, because it's the middle ground between England and the Animal Reserve. I believe that it should be calm. And Finnegan's Fire is very calm. It's not too intense. It's not a bunch of twists and turns. It's just swinging back and forth. And the beautiful thing about Ireland, and the one thing that kind of keeps it alive outside of Finnegan's Fire, is Celtic Fire, the award-winning show of Busch Gardens. I mean, how many times have it won Best Theme Park Show in USA Today? I mean, it is a phenomenal show. I love it every single time. I love clapping along, and really just the energy that show builds is just phenomenal. Those are the really 2 things that draw people to Ireland. Last year, I took a trip down to Florida, and I visited Busch Gardens Tampa. And if you go back and watch my Busch Gardens Tampa vlog, they have a members lounge, a whole place that overlooks the little safari looking area where members can go in and lounge. And Busch Gardens will set up like little spaces for members to go hang out in this, but they don't have a specific lounge. Would I love a lounge that would oversee the park? Absolutely. But one thing that's absolutely beautiful in Ireland that I believe is severely underused outside of Christmas Town is Castle O'Sullivan. I believe they should try making Castle O'Sullivan a members lounge. You don't have to do it year round, but just test it out. You go in there, you have your little self-serve food, and it's where members can go and meet each other, hang out, cool off on a hot day, have some little music and get away from the craziness of the crowd, especially like in June, July, August, when the park is just insanely crowded and it's insanely hot. I was just so jealous when I was at Busch Gardens Tampa and I saw that members lounge. I was like, why can't we have something like that? A good starting point would be Castle O'Sullivan to see if members are even interested. And then if they are interested, I think it would be really cool if Busch Gardens would build an actual members lounge somewhere else in the park. I'm not saying like an elevated structure where you oversee everything. I'm not saying that. I think Castle O'Sullivan's been around for so long, they should find another use for it. But I don't know exactly what that use would be. I know they do some Sesame Street stuff in there. You guys know my feelings about Sesame Street in the park. Don't like it. It is what it is. Another thing that would draw people to Ireland is if they had like a real reason. If you had the ability to go in there and chill out on a hot summer day, drink some water, hydrate, have a little self-serve food. But of course, the elephant in the room, talking about what could they add to Ireland. Obviously, another 4D ride. Now, in the last video, we talked about why the Battle for Ire closed, and I briefly touched on what I think the future could be of the building. And I'll just double down and reiterate this because this video is kind of similar topic, but a different angle. I believe, like I said before, going off what they kind of hinted at with that big list at the Member Appreciation Day town hall back in November, I believe there's something that they're planning to put in that building. What is it? I'm gonna give you my gut feeling. I mentioned before that one of the reasons why Battle for Ire did not perform well was because the ride system was not made to handle something like that. It was made to just be kind of a moving thing, like a 40X theater to a movie theater screen, not this totally moving adventure where you got the goggles on and making people nauseous and make people sick and feeling uncomfortable. And it wasn't made for it. It has so much downtime, and there's so much in that building, and you see it because of the haunted house. And you know Busch Gardens has no problem taking a haunted house and relocating it somewhere else so they can build a ride. And this could be wishful thinking. I would not be surprised if we get some type of dark ride. Now, I'm not talking simulator. I'm not talking you sit in your seats and you watch a screen. I'm talking moving vehicles with screens, maybe 3D glasses, maybe not, probably 3D glasses. I believe that is the most likely thing to come out of that building. This is just my opinion. I know nothing, I've heard nothing, but on that list, they mentioned RMC Coaster, which I fully believe is coming to the park eventually. Once RMC and SeaWorld battle their stuff out from Iron Gwazi, that's probably when we'll get an RMC, if I had to guess. They mentioned 4D Simulator and a dark ride, but I don't believe we would get 4D Simulator and a dark ride. And I think people are kind of done with 4D simulators. It's kind of hard to draw people in for just to sit down and watch a movie screen while the platform moves underneath you, because now we have 40X theaters. You got all these things. It's no longer this big marquee thing. If I had to give you my 100% honest thought, is we'll be getting a dark ride. And I think if you go and look into just like legends of Ireland and you go into their lore and the myths, obviously Busch Gardens really leans in with the leprechaun, and you could build something totally with the leprechaun. You could build a whole story with it. And why do I think that's the best case scenario? Because dark rides seem to just never fail. And I think there's a hunger for it too, because a lot of people I see, they love Dark Coaster, but they miss having a dark ride in there, and they miss Battle for Ire mainly for the sole reason of having some type of dark ride simulator in the park at all. Because like I said in the last video, having a ride like that is something that sets you up above the rest of the crowd. If you had to give me the earliest projection right now, 2028 would be the earliest possible date I would give for any ride of any type being put in that building, because we got the new coaster next year. Like I said, I think there's an RMC that's just kind of sitting in the back corner of a room that's just kind of waiting for the green light. And I believe you could do a water ride and a dark ride, but I believe the dark ride would come before the water ride, because at least the dark ride, you already have the building there. Now you probably will have to gut the building, and you probably will have to build more onto the building. But I believe that's more likely than Busch Gardens building down into that little valley there when you enter the park. Because like I said at the beginning of the video, I believe Busch Gardens tries to keep that quiet for a reason. And that's just me. I could be totally wrong. But that's why I said at the beginning of this video, it is purely my opinion. Because Ireland is a great land, and Finnegan's Fire really put it on another level than where it was before. Celtic Fire is such a great staple of that area, but it's not enough to draw people in and out. Castle O'Sullivan, I think there needs to be something that's more crowd drawing, like a members lounge. And obviously, like I said, Grogan's Pub is only for 21 and up. Like, you can take kids in there, but they can't indulge or anything. So a lot of like families, when they have kids, they don't go there because there's no real reason to, right? If you're going to drink beer, you can go do it somewhere else in the park where the kids can also just have good food and good drinks, stuff like that. And you had the stores, which are really cool stores. Stores you don't see everywhere else in the park. Like, you got some really cool stuff like this shirt I got. Like I said, I think Ireland is heading in the right direction. I think Busch Gardens is putting it in the right direction. And this is just my opinion on what could they do with Ireland to put it on par with the rest of the park, because the rest of the park's lands are just leaps and bounds above with kinetic energy and the movement of the area than Ireland. So I would love to see more come to Ireland. I love Ireland. I love just the design of that whole hamlet of the park. Let's add more to it. Let's make the Killarney Festival even bigger. Let me know what you guys would like to see in Ireland in the future down below. What do you think about my thoughts and what could come to Ireland? Do you think Busch Gardens is purposefully not adding stuff to that little valley when you walk into the park, or have they just not put anything there yet? Let me know down below. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed. Make sure to hit that bell button down below so you know about every single time I upload a brand new video to the channel. Make sure to go check out my Patreon for a possible chance to get this signed Busch Gardens map and to see the extended St. Patrick's Day vlog. And for all my future Busch Gardens vlogs, there will be extended versions on the Patreon exclusively. And go check out my single Dear Miss Heartbreak wherever you listen to your music. My name is Will Morris and I'm out. Peace. Dear Miss Heartbreak, when you gonna send another one my way?